Hi, welcome to Open Hand Farm. I'm Penny, and I am so glad you're here. Over the month of January, I tried my best to follow the Three River Challenge, where you take items that you have preserved or stored on shelves or in the freezer or whatever and make meals out of it and try not to go to the store. I did video 1 week in January, so I decided I would try that again for February. So today I have a video for you of the first week in February where I was able to do most of our meals from items we had here at home. I hope that you find a recipe that you like and are able to find this video useful. This was actually the day before the 1st of February. My brother has a birthday and I wanted to make him some sugar cookies. And I thought you might be interested in seeing these. They're actually called angel cookies. They have a glaze on top of them. You smash the cookie down after you dip your glass in water and then sugar. And after they bake, they have this crunchy glaze on top. They're amazing. This is probably one of the things I really miss since I don't eat sugar anymore. Wednesday for dinner, we had pot roast, and my husband grew up eating pot roast and he never wanted it. When I found this recipe, he decided he loves it. So it makes the most tender roast. And you just add the ingredients that I've shown here. After the roast is done, you just top it with some au jus powder, and then I use juices around it to kind of soften the powder. And this meat is so tender. It's amazing. I love baked oatmeal. So I start this out the night before and soak the oats with water and sourdough starter, and then finish adding the rest of the ingredients and bake it the next morning. And this one has apples in it, some of the canned apples that I did, and topping it off with a little butter, which I didn't do here, and some maple syrup is just amazing. I've done it with different fruits in it. I've done it without fruit in it. It's always so good. Thursday dinner, we were going to have burgers and I didn't have any buns and it had snowed. So I said, that's okay. I'll just make some sourdough buns. That way I can eat them too. So I started that early in the morning so that they could be done by dinner time. This is one of my favorite kind of sourdough bread recipes. The rolls are not extremely light like a hamburger or hot dog bun is, but they're just so good. They've got some honey in them, they've got butter in them. So it's an enriched sourdough. And you just let it raise for about 3 hours. Then you shape it and let it rise another 3 hours. And then you bake them. So I just started the day off with the dough. And by the end of the day, I got them made. To go along with the burgers, I went ahead and opened some of my canned potatoes. And this is one of my favorite ways to cook them. So I just put some avocado oil in a cast iron skillet. And I let it get hot. And after patting dry the potatoes, I just add salt and pepper. And then I kind of mix them in so that the oil and the salt and the pepper cover the whole potato mixture. And then you just let it sit, walk away. You want it to crisp up on the bottom, and the potatoes are pre-cooked because they've been canned. So you don't want to tear them up into a mush. So if you just let them cook for a short period of time and get crispy on the bottom, Then you can just go in and flip them over and then continue to let them cook. And then after they're crispy on both sides, you can kind of stir them around and get any parts that you missed. The burgers were made with some of the beef that we have in our freezer. We went together with our daughter and split 1/2 of a cow. They wanted to buy one and didn't think they could eat a whole half a cow, so we split it with them. The ground beef comes in 2-pound packages, so I just sliced this up into 8 burgers. So they were nice sized burgers. And it's just so easy when it's round like this because you can just slice it. I got the buns baked and sliced open. And they're not real pretty on top because I was in a big hurry to get them done. So sorry about that. And the potatoes are crisping up. And now it's just a matter of putting it all together. This is my mom fixing hers. She loves her some onion. I use some organic Colby Jack cheese from Costco that we always have on hand as the cheese for these. And then there's Mark with his burger and getting some potatoes. These burgers were so good. I have my grandkids every morning, and so my grandson loves scrambled eggs. And I decided, since I was scrambling some and I had some leftover fried sausage, then I would go ahead and make my daughter-in-law a burrito to send along with her on her way to work. So I just started scrambling all the eggs together. Just stir and mix. I don't add milk or water or anything, just eggs and salt and pepper. When they got close to being done, I went ahead and divided them because Tevye does not like sausage in his eggs, but I wanted to kind of heat up the sausage because it had been in the fridge. So I put it over on the skillet and let it cook just for a little bit, just to heat through. Then I went ahead and divided the eggs and mixed some with the sausage and left some without. Go ahead and take Tevye's out for him. Make it a little bit easier that way. Then I just added some cheese and let it melt down just a little bit. And when the cheese was melted, I went ahead and put it in a burrito shell. We always have these on hand from Costco. I do breakfast burritos a lot for Mark for the mornings on his way to work. And I rolled it up. It's, of course, always better if it gets a little bit of grilling to crunch it up a little bit. So I just put a little bit of butter back in my skillet and added the burrito, flipped it over. Oh, pretty. If you've never done your burritos this way, you really should. They are so good with that crunch, that buttery crunch. And then I just dropped it in a paper bowl for her to take in the car. All right, Friday dinner, we had chili. I think I did chili on the last 3 River Challenge video I did. We do chili a lot. It just works. We had a Super Bowl party here and we made chili for that and then had chili dogs the next day. So it's a great thing to just have on hand. It's also really good if you have chili left over to make nachos with or Frito burritos. I think that was in my last video too. So good. I'm using some of my tomato powder that I made from my San Marzano tomatoes. And I'm using the fire roasted tomato powder. I fire roasted the tomatoes and then dehydrated them and then ground it up, and just add water to the consistency that you want. The beans in here are beans that I canned, and they're so yummy. Usually I don't even have to add any extra chili powder or anything because the beans just have so much flavor. Although I do add some molasses to mine. My family likes it just a tad bit sweet. So I add molasses, and I did add just a little bit more chili powder to this one, but it turned out really yummy. Now, Saturday for dinner, I had some acorn squashes that I had ordered from Azure, so I wanted to use the rest of those up. So I cut them open and scooped out the centers. Then I placed them in a pan with a little bit of water, and I put olive oil over the top of them, and then some salt and pepper. And I put them in the oven and baked them until they were tender to the fork. Then I went ahead and finished heating up the leftover sausage that I had fried and put in the fridge. And I opened some black beans that I had canned and just made a bowl of this. I know it doesn't look very appetizing to look at, but it was so good with that squash and beans and sausage. Now, Sunday dinner, I wanted to do another bowl. I had a family dinner and I made some jambalaya. And I cooked rice ahead of time, and then I remembered that the rice cooks in the jambalaya. I don't make it very often, so I completely forgot that. So I had this rice and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So I decided I would make another bowl, and the foundation of the bowl could be rice. But I wanted to give it some flavor. It's a sprouted brown rice, and it's fine for me, but I knew everybody else would want it to taste better, not so plain. So I went ahead and used some avocado oil and some gluten-free flour and made a roux with milk, salt and pepper, and then I added some Parmesan cheese. So it was kind of like an Alfredo. While the roux was cooking, I went ahead and put together some frozen broccoli in some boiling water so that we could have broccoli in this bowl also. So after the roux was to the consistency I wanted, I went ahead and added the rice and stirred it in. And it was a very nice consistency. I was very pleased with it. And the broccoli, when it was done, I drained it and just added some butter, salt, and garlic powder. Now I just needed to cut up the grilled pork chops that Mark had cooked, and we needed to put the bowls together. So my mom is putting her bowl together here with the Alfredo rice and some broccoli, and then we threw some pork chop on top. It was really good. It was pretty too. So Monday night dinner, I wanted to make a quiche, so I went ahead and made a sourdough crust and put it in the fridge for the day. I always like to put kale or spinach in it, but I didn't have any fresh. So I did find a bag of frozen spinach in the freezer. So I thawed it out, and then you just grab it with your hands and squeeze the water out of it. So I did that and went ahead and added some cheese and sausage and made the quiche mixture. Then I rolled out the sourdough crust and just really rustic like folded the edges under and quickly crimped it and filled it with the quiche filling. And there it is done. It was so yummy. This is probably one of my favorite dishes. Now, for breakfast, many days, I have this Nancy's probiotic cottage cheese. It is so good, and it's good for your gut health. It tastes a little bit like a yogurt infused cottage cheese, and then I just top it with fruit. These are some of my canned apples. I also use some of my fermented cranberries. It all just tastes so good on top. And I will do this several mornings. Now, this is something we do for several lunches. So that's why I don't have a lot of breakfast or lunches on here, because we just redo. Mark did go to Costco and find these salad greens that have held up so well over the week. So I just take a big handful and I chop it up and I fill bowls for all of us. And then to go in the salad, whatever I can find in the fridge is what I've been using. I had some golden beets that I had gotten from Azure Standard. I had a few of those left, so I chopped one of those up. And I had some strawberries that I had bought and they needed to be used, so I chopped those up. And a nut is always nice in a salad. So I took some pecans that I had and just kind of cracked them in the middle and then down the sides. So each nut was in like 4 pieces. And then got out all the cheese, and I have raisins on hand all the time. I love this aged balsamic dressing. It is from Aldi, and it's so good. So we just put our salads together, and they're so pretty with all these different colors. And I just happened to have some bacon fried that day in the fridge, so I just heated that up and chopped it up. So that added an even yummier taste. A little bit of raisins, some cheese, and man, this is a salad that could be sold at a gourmet restaurant. It is so good. And like I said, different days means different fruits and vegetables. So Tuesday dinner. Now this one's interesting. I had canned, at the advice of one of my viewers, some chicken cacciatore. I have no idea what chicken cacciatore is supposed to be like. So I just decided that I would take some more of that rice that I had cooked and add to it because it was very wet. So I did that, and then we topped it with some Parmesan cheese and used some of the leftover buns toasted with butter on them. And it was really good. Thanks so much for watching today. And if you are new here, come back another time. We'd love having you. I'm going to go ahead and continue through February, trying to follow along with this 3 Rivers challenge. I don't know if I'll get any more weeks videoed because I'm just so busy, but I'm going to try. So we'll see how that works out. Until next time, blessings on you and yours.